Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If sign-in system in high school DxD. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 191, Wife Material. After preparing myself, just as I was about to give my evaluation, the two girls started bickering again. Noticing the smile on my face after I finished the cookies, Toka immediately lifted her proud little head. As expected, mine are better. Mine was clearly eaten 0.001 seconds earlier, Origami retorted, directly using data. What did you say? How could you tell it was 0.001 seconds earlier? In the blink of an eye, Toka and Origami were about to get into another argument. I gave both of them a head pat. Alright, stop fighting. Both Toka's and Origami's cookies are delicious. I'll have to try your cookies again when I have time. Toka, rewarded with my head pat, beamed with a sweet smile. And Origami's usually icy, expressionless face also showed a rare smile. However, when Toka and Origami glanced at each other, they still huffed lightly, neither willing to concede to the other. Put. You two seem to get along quite well. Suddenly, a gentle laugh came from the side. The three of us turned our heads and saw it was Shirori. At this moment, she was dressed just like Toka and Origami, wearing a pink apron. Besides that, she was also holding a box of cookies, and their shape was very similar to Toka's. Yo, I didn't expect Shirori to make cookies too. Kyoya-kun, want to try? Saying this, Shirori handed the cookies to me. Seeing this, I didn't hold back. I quickly took a cookie from the box and started eating. In just 2 or 3 bites, I had swallowed the cookie, then gave a thumbs up. Great. Shirori really is wife material. My words made Shiori's face flush red. She was clearly flustered by my statement and shyly lowered her head. After all, my words were a bit too direct. Kyoya, what does wife material mean? Hearing a word she didn't understand, Toka looked at me curiously and asked. As soon as she spoke, Origami, beside her, surprisingly explained it to her. A wife material is... After a barrage of explanations, Toka looked at me with an expectant expression. However, with Origami's next sentence, she immediately bristled. In the future, I will definitely become Kyoya's good wife. Saying this, Origami hugged my arm, a blush instantly appearing on her small face. What? Robot, what do you mean? You're not Kyoya's wife. I'm Kyoya's wife. Don't you compete with me. Origami's intimate action, coupled with her bold declaration towards me, instantly made Toka bristle. She also hugged my arm and glared angrily at Origami Tabichi, as if declaring her sovereignty. No, I'm Kyoya's wife. No, I am. Watching the two argue again, I felt helpless. What a pair of bickering rivals. However, the next moment, I sensed countless murderous gazes fixed on me, and my whole being felt uneasy. At this moment, I had truly become the focus of the class. Scumbag. 2 timing. Wrong. It's 3 timing. You forgot about Itsuka-san. Ah, this scumbag. He actually snatched away the 3 most beautiful girls in our class. Damn it. Can't he just leave us some? Listening to the surrounding students' discussions, Shirori, who had been dragged into it, her face didn't lose its rosy hue in the slightest. Seriously, when did I become Kyoya's wife? However, when she looked up at me, Shirori didn't know why, but a strange emotion arose in her heart. In contrast, hearing the discussions of the boys around me, I swept my gaze over the entire room with murderous intent, instantly scaring them into silence. A bunch of cowards. Just as I was about to appease Toka and Origami, the sound of a spacequake alarm echoed through Tengu City. Whoa! Attention all personnel, a spacequake is imminent. Residents in the vicinity, please prepare for evacuation. A spacequake already? Looks like I'll be seeing Yoshino again. A glint of light flashed in my eyes. Shirori, take Toka and evacuate. Or you can head back to Ratatoskr. I'll handle the spirit. I instructed the two beside me. But I want to be with Kyoya. Hearing this, Toka clung to me, unwilling to leave. To this, I patted her head and comforted her with a smile. Be good, behave. I'll be right back. All right. Be careful. The two of them instructed me with concern, then ran towards the underground shelter. After their figures gradually disappeared, I turned my head to look at Origami. However, seeing her stripping off her clothes, I immediately felt a headache coming on. Origami, don't tell me you're planning to put on your CR unit and fight the spirit with the AST. Yes. I am a member of the AST, and fighting spirits is my mandatory mission. As soon as her voice fell, Origami Tabichi had already donned her CR unit, preparing to head to the epicenter of the spacequake. Helpless, I quickly grabbed her and tried to persuade her earnestly. Origami, we talked about this before. You promised me you wouldn't target spirits anymore. Regarding your parents, after I deal with this, I'll give you a detailed explanation, okay? Hearing my words, Origami Tabichi's entire body stiffened. She froze for about 5 or 6 seconds, then looked at me, our gazes meeting. All right. Fortunately, Origami ultimately agreed to my request. Watching Origami Tabichi head towards the shelter, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I might as well use this opportunity to clear everything up. After all, a short, sharp pain is better than a long, dull ache. Immediately, I received a call from Kotori. Hey! A new spirit has appeared. Get ready quickly. I know. I'm heading to the scene now. Chapter 192, Seeing Yoshino Again, Shocking Everyone, Perfect Susanoo. On the other side, at the very center of the spacequake, a lowly wearing a green cloak adorned with rabbit ears was lying on the ground. Her eyelids fluttered, and as she slowly opened her eyes, Yoshino became panicked upon seeing her surroundings. She was currently in the middle of a deep crater in an unknown street, the surrounding buildings looking as if they had been hit by an explosion. Not only that, but the crater where Yoshino was, served as the epicenter, with destruction spreading outwards in all directions. Before Yoshino could figure out the situation, a familiar sound suddenly came from the sky. As Yoshino had expected, several human girls in CR units were floating in the sky above. Target confirmed, the fourth spirit, Hermit. All members, commence attack. Yes. The next moment, countless gun muzzles aimed at Yoshino in the center of the explosion. Following that, countless bullets and missiles rained down. Oh dear, this is not good. The rabbit puppet on Yoshino's hand, Yashinan, opened its comical mouth wide, then spread its hands as if to protect Yoshino. You mustn't hurt Yoshino. Immediately, an ice-blue domain radiating a chilling aura spread out, blocking all attacks. Yoshino, out of fear, huddled in a corner, shivering. She couldn't understand why, upon waking from her sleep and arriving in this world, so many people in mecha suits would attack her. Meanwhile, after busying myself for a while, I arrived at the battle site. At this moment, Yoshino was being besieged by the AST. However, the scene left me somewhat bewildered. Logically, although Yoshino was weak and didn't want to hurt the AST members, she should have been able to escape unharmed. Yet, the current situation seemed to be a one-sided beatdown of Yoshino. The next second, I noticed something unusual. A blonde girl was attacking fiercely and relentlessly, forcing Yoshino to constantly dodge. The blonde girl was none other than Ellen Mara Mathers, the second executive manager of DEM Industries, who claimed to be the world's strongest wizard. Without much thought, she leaped with her sword, flying past the giant puppet in front of Yoshino, rushing straight towards her. And at this moment, I had already arrived in front of Yoshino. In an instant, from all directions, the chains of heaven, radiating immense holy brilliance, instantly bound the sword-wielding Ellen in a grotesque manner. The blade of her sword also stopped right in front of me, unable to advance even half an inch. It's you? That mysterious male spirit. Ellen was puzzled by the origin of the surrounding chains, but upon seeing me from the files, she recognized me at a glance. Mysterious origins, yet able to use a spirit's power, broke into DM's laboratory and rescued the second spirit. No, I'm not some spirit. I am a god, the one and only Kami. I said with extreme Shinibu flair. Ha ha ha. Lecherous big brother, you're so funny. But thank you for saving Yoshino again. Yashinon, having transformed back into a rabbit puppet, had now returned to Yoshino's hand. Thank you, big brother, for saving Yoshino. Yoshino also timidly blinked her large, watery blue eyes and thanked me. Ellen, clad in her CR unit, struggled with all her might to break free from the chains of heaven, but it was all in vain. Damn it! Let me down quickly. Do you want to be an enemy of DEM Industries? Then, she lifted her naturally dazed little face and stared deadly at me, threatening. I can let you down. But let's be clear beforehand. From now on, whether it's your AST or DM Industries, it's best not to trouble the spirits and my family by my side. I crossed my arms as I looked at everyone present. Hearing my words, everyone present looked at me with hostile expressions. Spirits are a menace. It's impossible for us to give up. That's right. We are the AST force. How could we listen to your threats? As the world's strongest wizard, I won't lose to anyone. Simultaneously, Ellen also retorted with a dazed expression. Hearing this, I didn't hold back. I decided to punish them a little, to let them see the disparity in our strength. Strictly controlling my own power, a blue magic power surged from my body. A pair of blue wings sprouted from my back, my eyes glowing with an azure light. I gripped a greatsword tightly in both hands, finally forming a 1,000-meter-tall perfect Susanoo. Ignorance is truly fearless. Today, I'll let you witness the vastness and grandeur of the world. Saying this, the two Susanoo greatswords swung lightly. A sword energy shot out, sweeping away the distant mountains, reducing them to ashes. Another majestic sword energy tore the sky apart, then continued to rush towards space with undiminished force, even causing the satellites along its path to vanish completely. Gulp! Everyone collectively swallowed hard. Looking at this giant blue perfect Susanoo, they were all terrified. Is this really a power a human can possess? They were all frozen on the spot, not daring to move. The impact of this scene was too horrifying, too absurd. Their hearts could barely take it. Now do you understand the gap between us? This is a warning. Remember my words, otherwise. After issuing this warning, I took Yoshino's hand and vanished from the spot. Ellen and the AST members seemed to have not yet recovered from the shocking scene just now, still standing there dazed. Meanwhile, a Gothic-styled girl in the shadows was also observing the events unfolding at the scene. She licked her lips, muttering somewhat pathologically, what powerful strength. It seems I have a new target. Yo little brother, thank you so much for saving Yashinon just now. Yoshino too. I gently patted Yoshino and Yashinon's heads, teasing them with a mischievous smile. So adorable. What color sack would Yoshino like to be put in? Instantly, Yoshino's small face showed a panicked expression. Seeing this, I quickly changed my tone and soothed her. Just kidding. Yoshino, Yashinon, would you like to come to my house? It's quite big. Hearing my words, Yoshino lowered her head, her face as red as an apple. She stammered, afraid to look up. She wasn't some ignorant little loli who didn't understand anything. On the contrary, she was already 39 years old this year and a very knowledgeable old hand. Now, my sudden invitation to his house made her think of the scenes in TV dramas where a strange uncle tricks an innocent young girl. We've only met twice, and he's already inviting a strange little girl like me to his house. Could it be? He's a legendary lolicon, and his goal is to bring me home and molest me, and then. Suddenly, some R-rated images flashed through Yoshino's mind. Her originally cute face instantly turned beet red. Seeing little Yoshino's face flush from her neck all the way to her ears, I knew this legal loli must have imagined some inappropriate scenarios. Immediately, I flicked her on the forehead. I just felt sorry for you being all alone. Don't let your imagination run wild. Clutching her forehead where I had flicked her, Yoshino looked up at me with teary eyes and asked curiously. But, big brother, why would you help me? This is undoubtedly a gimme question. So, I still chose honesty as the ultimate weapon. I quite like Yoshino. Whoa. As if struck by something, Yoshino's whole being instantly turned into a steam engine, smoke rising from her head. Chapter 193, The Expanding Household of Spirits. What's wrong, Yoshino? Whoa, it's the first time. This is the first time anyone besides Yashinan has said that about me, so. The next moment, a cheeky laugh sounded. Wahahaha. Yashinan, the rascal rabbit, grinned widely, then waved its two quirky little short arms. He lecherous big brother was really cool just now. But Yoshino is a spirit, you know. Besides, every time she appears, she causes destruction and is even hunted by robots. Even so, would lecherous big brother still accept little Yoshino? As Yashinan's words fell, Yoshino's face filled with even more disappointment, and she lowered her head. Seeing this, I smiled nonchalantly and comforted her. Don't worry about that, Yoshino. I have several of your spirit kin at my house. Isn't that perfectly fine? Besides, I've already warned the people at DEM. From now on, Yoshino can live a normal life. As I spoke, I took Yoshino's small hand in one of mine, and gently pinched the little loli's blushing cheek with the other. So, rest assured and come to my house. From now on, you'll be our family's mascot. ? Mascot? What is a mascot? Hearing my last sentence, Yoshino was speechless. After a pause, I continued to entice her. Yoshino, there's a way to solve the problem of you returning to the neighboring world. Want to try? What way? Saying this, I pointed to my own lips. A kiss. Seeing my gesture, Yoshino's face turned red. That's two. The overly shy Yoshino's head was spinning at this moment, looking incredibly cute and dazed. After severing Yoshino's connection to the neighboring world, I took her small hand and left the separate dimension. As for how I sealed her. The process was just that process. No need to describe the scene, after all, I don't want to end up in jail. Although Yoshino is a legal loli who would believe that? Simultaneously, the moment I took her small hand, Yoshino finally reacted. Her connection to the neighboring world had indeed been severed. Besides that, the Ryuryoku, spiritual power, within her body was no longer as turbulent as before. Right now, she was just like an ordinary human. Besides, this big brother is really gentle. I quite like the feeling of him holding my hand. Although I'm still a little scared that this big brother might take me home and do some perverted things to me. But now, having heard this big brother say that there were many other spirits in his house. At this moment, Yoshino's heart was filled with a faint sense of anticipation. She wondered what kind of spirits her fellow kin were. Hearing the sound of a door opening, Toka followed the sound. Kyoya, you're finally back. You don't know, origami she again. However, before she could finish, Toka froze on the spot, her face filled with grievance. So. Kyoya likes little girls? Wait. Toka, calm down. It's not what you think. Returning to the living room, I briefly explained Yoshino's situation. Oh. Yoshino, so you're also a spirit like me? Toka looked at the well-behaved loli before her. Upon learning that Yoshino was also a spirit, she became exceptionally excited. She was naturally happy to make a new friend, especially one who was also a spirit. Yoshino, however, seeing the excited Toka, couldn't help but shrink back timidly. Toka, Yoshino is quite shy and timid. Don't scare her, I explained from the side. So that's how it is. After learning that Yoshino was timid, Toka showed a sweet, apologetic smile and sincerely apologized to her. I'm so sorry, Yoshino. I didn't know you were a shy girl. Hearing this, Yoshino finally slowly raised her head and looked timidly at Toka. However, before she could speak, the rabbit puppet on her left hand, Yashinan, suddenly spoke first. Oh my, are you also a spirit? Nice to meet you. I'm Yashinan. Hello, my name is Yoshino. At this moment, the little lowly Yoshino also greeted her weakly. However, towards Yoshino's greeting, Toka didn't react. Instead, she showed great interest in the rabbit puppet on her hand, Yashinan. Her deep purple, large eyes stared intently at the hand puppet Yashinan, her face filled with excitement. Wow! The rabbit puppet can talk. That's amazing. Yoshino, where did you buy this puppet? I want to buy one too. Young lady, I'm not some puppet. I'm Yashinan, Yoshino's hero. Seeing itself being mistaken for an ordinary puppet, Yashinan immediately spoke up to defend itself. Oh my god! The rabbit puppet spoke again. It's really amazing. Towards Yashinan's explanation, Toka seemed not to have heard, still looking at it with astonishment. Yashinan. Everyone else. Everyone present was rendered speechless by Toka's train of thought. Toka's focus was still so unique. But this does fit Toka's curious personality. So full. Kyoya's cooking is really good. Nia rubbed her bulging little belly, looking as if she wanted more. Wu Nia is so mean. She snatched the last piece of rice cake. Toka looked at the rice cake Nia had just stuffed into her mouth and pouted with dissatisfaction. Saying this, Toka looked at me pitifully, seeking some comfort. I stroked Toka's smooth hair and smiled. Never mind that useless mangaka. I bought snacks for you all. You can take Yoshino to eat snacks later. Hearing this, Toka's face immediately brightened. Nia, on the other hand, tearfully accused me of being biased and fickle. To this, I just gave her a big eye roll. By the way, Kyoya, why is Origami at our house? Toka stared deadly at her rival, Origami Tabichi, who was sitting opposite her, her small face falling. Origami Tabichi had bullied her quite a bit in class. TCH. Princess, you're just staying here. You're not qualified to say that. Seeing Toka suddenly lash out at her, Origami Tabichi retorted unceremoniously. Despicable robot. Seeing Toka and Origami about to argue again, I quickly reached out and patted Toka's head, which I loved so much. Toka, be good. Don't forget, you're a princess. As a princess, you must have a big heart. As I spoke, I took out a piece of kanako bread from my system space and handed it to this gluttonous princess. Seeing food, Toka, who had been somewhat unhappy, immediately brightened up. Thank you, Kyoya. This time, for Kyoya's sake, I won't mind the robot's rudeness. Glutton to this, Origami just replied faintly. Witnessing me easily placate the two's fight, Nia Hanju directly stood behind me. Well, Kyoya, it seems Origami and Toka are most effectively subdued by you. Glaring at the girl behind me, I then looked at Origami and slowly spoke. Origami, I promised you before. So today, I'll tell you some truths. Chapter 194, The Origin of Spirits, Shattering the Girl's Worldview. Hearing this, Toka, Kotori, Shirori, and the other girls all looked puzzled. Even Origami was bewildered. She looked at me with a puzzled expression, not understanding. Actually, everyone should be curious why Origami hates spirits so much, right? Let's hear her out first. Origami, trust me. Tell everyone the reason. Saying this, I took her small hand, giving her immense encouragement. Origami lowered her eyes, slowly recalling the painful memories of the past. As a child, like any normal girl, she had a beautiful childhood, growing up happily in the embrace of her family. However, 5 years ago, when she was 11, her parents were killed in an attack by a fire spirit. Since then, she harbored an extreme hatred for spirits. To prevent others from encountering the same tragedy as her and to avenge her parents, she chose to join the Ground Self-Defense Force's Anti-Spirit Team, AST, striving to eliminate spirits as her goal. So, for these 5 years, she's been searching constantly, relentlessly searching for her enemy. The target of her revenge, whom she resolved to kill even at the cost of her own life. After Origami finished speaking, her heart pounded violently, her breathing became disordered, and tears stained her clothes. After hearing the reason for Origami's hatred of spirits, everyone fell silent. Especially Kotori and Rain, their eyes were filled with guilt and self-blame, their faces dimming. Because the spirit who caused that great fire 5 years ago was Kotori. That was the flame spirit. Also filled with deep apology for Origami was Rain Murasame. After all, she was the one who had given Kotori the Sapphire crystal back then, turning her into a spirit. Later, due to the loss of control over her Ryuryoku, this tragedy occurred. Not just them, but even Yoshino, Toka, and Nia lowered their heads at this moment. A hint of guilt inevitably arose in their hearts. As spirits, they also knew that every time they appeared in the world, they would bring disaster. Just then, I suddenly spoke up. Origami, the death of your parents wasn't caused by the flame spirit. And the truth isn't like that either. Exclamation point. Hearing this, Kotori and Origami looked up, their pupils constricting, looking at me with surprise and doubt. Impossible. Back then, it was clearly. However, before Origami could finish, I interrupted her. Then did you ever see the flame spirit kill your parents with your own eyes? Hearing this, Origami Tabichi's voice faltered, unsure how to retort. Seeing this, I continued. Since that's the case, let me tell you all a story. Once upon a time, there was a group of Magus. Due to their powerful strength, they were feared by humans and were subsequently exterminated. At this time, the 4 survivors of the Magus group, because their own group was destroyed by humans, once swore together to take revenge on humanity. About 30 years ago today, the 4 of them founded the current DM Industries. Through a secret technique, they gathered the Ryuryoku of this world into one point, creating the original spirit, Mio Takamiya, intending to use her power to take revenge on humanity. However, the plan was cliché. One of the 4, Elliot Baldwin Woodman, fell completely in love with the original spirit after seeing her. Not only was he unwilling for Mio Takamiya to suffer the same fate as them, but because of Mio, he even let go of his hatred for humanity. For this, he had nearly 100 disputes with Isaac Ray Pelham Westcott. Ultimately, the 2 parted ways due to disagreements. This Elliot Baldwin Woodman is now the chairman of the Ratatoskr Roundtable, the founder of Ratatoskr, whose ultimate goal is to protect spirits. At the same time, this is why Ratatoskr now protects spirits, while DM Industries hunts them. As for Mio Takamiya, during her escape, she even more cliché fell in love with a young girl. But in the end, she was killed by Westcott. At the same time, as a spirit, she possessed a near-eternal lifespan. To resurrect that young girl, Mio Takamiya divided her own Ryuryoku, creating numerous Sapphire crystals. The human girls to whom she bestowed the Sapphire crystals are called her daughters. Oh, to add, Toka is the only pure spirit whose Sapphire crystal formed naturally. After listening to my story, almost everyone present was horrified. Spirits are really transformed from humans. Damn it! That old man didn't tell me. The room fell into silence, then erupted into a wave of doubt. Except for Nia Hanju, who already knew, and the originator herself, Rain Murasame, all the girls were filled with horror. Except for Toka, this naturally dazed and adorable gluttonous princess, who still wore an airhead expression. This. How is this possible? Spirits actually came to be this way. At this moment, Origami looked as if she had been completely broken, her body stiff, standing rooted to the spot as if filled with lead. Sigh, but that's the truth. Besides, Origami, do you know? You're one of Mio Takamiya's targets too. If nothing unexpected happens, in the future of hatred, you will also accept Mio Takamiya's Sapphire crystal in pursuit of power and become a spirit, Metatron. I glanced at Rain Murasame and said slowly. Crack. Her entire being was instantly struck by lightning. Origami Tabichi's eyes were filled with disbelief. In the future, for the sake of power, I'll become the very spirit I despise most? The thought made Origami's scalp tingle, a sense of horror washing over her. To provide a more direct demonstration, I immediately used the power of the Suniaster, taking the girls through the river of time to the point when Origami Tabichi transforms into the exterminating angel. Of course, to avoid exposing Rain Murasame's identity, I made a few slight adjustments. Kyoya, what's happening? Watching the constantly shifting scenery, Nia Hanju's eyes couldn't help but show a trace of panic. Yoshino and Toka also nervously hid behind me. Seeing this, I explained carefully. Don't worry, everyone. This is me using my time ability to reconstruct the future. Origami, perhaps this will resolve your doubts. Hearing my words, Origami Tabichi's eyes showed a hint of shock. Ultimately, she nodded and continued to watch. In the Vision. Chapter 195, Crossing Time, The Exterminating Angel Origami Tabichi. In the Vision. Origami, wearing her ASTCR unit, arrived at a certain abandoned building. Damn it! Why, after my parents' death, can you still be protected by others with peace of mind? Origami's eyes were filled with unwillingness. She punched the walls of the ruins with all her might. Why? 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 Time and time again, I take away what's important to me. Origami's face turned red with anger, her teeth clenched so tightly that her lips began to bleed. In the end, it's because I'm not strong enough. If I had that kind of power, I could have stopped all of this from happening. At this exact moment, a strange phenomenon occurred. A pixelated phantom slowly appeared beside Origami. The phantom, with a mechanical voice that couldn't be identified as male or female, tempted Origami. Origami Tabichi, do you desire power? Hearing this, Origami turned her head to look at it, not caring who it was. Her expression was extremely decisive, even filled with a crazed fervor. Power. Just give me power. I don't care what price I have to pay. Then, the phantom looked at Origami Tabichi and slowly extended a hand. When she opened her palm, a white sapphire crystal lay within. As long as you use this, you can obtain even greater power. Hearing these words, Origami took the sapphire crystal without a hint of hesitation. The moment she took the crystal, it directly merged into Origami's body. The next moment, Origami's entire body emitted a dazzling light, a white Ryuryoku enveloping her. Immediately, Origami's body began to be transformed by the power of the sapphire crystal. The girls watching this scene all had different expressions. Upon seeing the phantom appear and take out the sapphire crystal, Kotori, Nia, and Yoshino all fell into deep thought. This was so similar to the process of them becoming spirits, one could even say it was identical. As for Origami Tabichi, her eyes were fixed on the transformation of her future self in the vision. She hadn't expected that in the future, she would become a spirit for the sake of power. Shirori and Toka, on the other hand, just felt surprised. Only Rain Murasame, when she saw her future self hand the sapphire crystal to Origami, turning her into a spirit. At this moment, the usual calmness in her eyes was gone, completely replaced by horror. This ability to know the past and future, the second spirit, Nia Hanju, can also do it. Nia's manifested angel is the angel of the book, Raziel, which includes information retrieval pages and blank pages. Her ability is omniscience, capable of obtaining any information she desires, as long as it's not beyond the future. Anything happening now, who's doing what, etc., can be found on the information retrieval pages. However, to be able to directly cross time and watch future events unfold, this is just too absurd. Glancing at Kyoya, Rain couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Kyoya is very mysterious and unfathomable. In the vision. Simultaneously, as the white light dissipated, Origami's figure also appeared before everyone. At this moment, Origami wore a pure white wedding dress. The hem of her astral dress was adorned with fine gold threads. A golden halo, like a crown, floated above her head, connected to transparent veils composed of light. White, radiant wings emerged from her back, formed by countless feathers of light. The spiritified origami looked like a legendary holy angel, which perfectly corresponded to her ability's designation, Metatron. This origami opened her eyes, feeling the changes in herself. Am I a spirit now? To suppress the urge to vomit welling up from deep within, origami clenched her teeth tightly. She had become the very existence she despised, hated, and loathed the most. She forced herself to stay clear-headed. After all, origami now had more important things to accomplish. The reason, of course, was the sapphire crystal that had turned her into a spirit. And that pixelated phantom. Could it be that it's the one turning humans into spirits? Does that mean it's the one that caused my parents to? The thought that the unidentified phantom was the true murderer of her parents filled origami's heart with intense hatred. And by the time origami realized this possibility, the phantom had already disappeared. Thus, she had no chance to question it. However, there was one thing she was certain of at this moment. Yes. She was now a spirit, possessing the power to defeat spirits. If that kind of thing can really be done. Simultaneously, a hint of excitement surged in origami's heart. Origami swallowed hard, then flew into the sky, searching for a certain person. Ultimately, origami found Nightmare Kurumi Tokisaki. Using one of the abilities of Zafkiel, Yedbet, she performed a time reversal, wanting to go back to the past and prevent that disaster. She successfully persuaded Kurumi Tokisaki to use Yedbet on her. When origami's vision cleared, she found herself back 5 years ago, at the moment the fire broke out. Just then, I, within the river of time, suddenly snapped my fingers, pausing the entire world. Seeing this, origami and the other girls looked at me, puzzled. Origami, the following scene might be difficult for you to accept. It might even cause a mental breakdown. Are you sure you want to watch? Hearing my reminder, origami's heart couldn't help but feel surprised. Even Kotori, Rain, Toka, and the other girls beside her were somewhat puzzled. What scene could possibly make origami break down? Hearing my warning, origami Tabichi couldn't help but feel a little nervous, but at the same time, she was eager to know what happened next. After taking a deep breath, she requested with a serious expression. Please continue. I want to know the truth. After confirming origami's choice, I immediately snapped my fingers again. Chapter 196, The Shattered Origami, First Use of the Suniaster. Hearing my warning, origami Tabichi couldn't help but feel a little nervous, but at the same time, she was eager to know what happened next. After taking a deep breath, she requested with a serious expression. Please continue. I want to know the truth. After confirming origami's choice, I immediately snapped my fingers again. In the vision, origami looked at the raging fire before her, her eyes filled with anticipation and panic. I'm not mistaken, this is the place. At this moment, origami had only one thought in her mind, to quickly kill the flame spirit. This way, all tragedies would be prevented from happening. However, when she saw Kotori, her eyes filled with surprise and doubt. Kotori's Ryuryoko had been sealed. Didn't that mean the one who killed her parents wasn't the flame spirit? Just as she was puzzled, she happened to see the pixelated phantom in the sky. It's her. She's the one who turned me into a spirit. And it's because of her that this series of tragedies occurred. Everything is because of her. The next moment, without another word, origami launched Metatron's light swords at the phantom. Feathers of light split into countless small funnels, bombarding the phantom from multiple angles with an endless barrage. Simultaneously, the phantom was also bewildered by this inexplicable attack but still continuously dodged. You're not getting away. In an instant, an even denser and faster barrage of light cannons indiscriminately washed over the entire area. Origami, completely dominated by hatred, no longer cared about anything else. Her only thought was to kill the phantom. And the phantom, after taking a direct hit from Metatron Malak, vanished. Seeing the phantom disappear, origami, believing she had saved her parents, couldn't help but murmur. Dad. Mom. However, when her gaze fell upon her younger self below, her face filled with horror. There, little Origami was sitting paralyzed beside the corpses of her dead parents, staring at herself with hateful eyes. Little Origami's eyes were brimming with tears, continuously repeating hateful words. Unforgivable. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. No, it's not like that. Why? Why? And Origami also's pupils constricted, her mind in chaos, muttering to herself. So the real murderer of my parents was me. For a moment, endless guilt and self-blame surged into her heart. Origami hugged her head, her body trembling continuously, tears shimmering in her eyes. Aha! The next moment, due to her mental breakdown, Origami's agonizing wail echoed through the sky. One by one, black feathers slowly enveloped Origami. Her eyes held only bone-chilling coldness and savagery, a darkness that seemed to swallow the sky, bringing deep despair to the world. Due to despair and a mental breakdown, her sapphire crystal inverted, completely transforming her into the demon king, Satan. After the vision paused at this scene, everyone's gazes slowly fell upon Origami Tabichi. At this moment, Origami Tabichi's face was filled with despair and pain, tears continuously streaming down. Looking at Origami, who was trembling, her lips quivering but unable to make a sound, I quickly embraced her, continuously comforting her. Origami, it's not your fault. Your intention was to save your parents. This was just an accident. Don't overthink it. Hearing this, Origami's eyes remained vacant, tears uncontrollably flowing down her cheeks. To this, everyone present, including Toka, who had always been at odds with Origami, now expressed deep sympathy for her. The true murderer she had been searching for all these years turned out to be herself. No matter who it was, they would probably fall into despair. Sigh, that's why I said this truth is cruel. But Origami, there's no need to be so desperate. After all, resurrecting your parents is a piece of cake for me, I said, gently stroking Origami's white hair with a smile. Exclamation point. As soon as my words fell, Origami suddenly looked up, her eyes filled with anticipation and trepidation. She couldn't believe her ears and repeated in disbelief, really? Can you really resurrect my parents? My words were like a ray of sunlight shining into the darkness, giving her a glimmer of hope. Stroking my chin, I grinned mischievously. Hee, of course. But will there be any reward for me then, Origami? Origami was first stunned, then said something even more shocking. As long as you can resurrect my parents, I'll do anything. Even have your baby. You damn pervert. Suddenly, a chorus of hisses sounded. Kotori and Nia looked at me with disdain, continuously complaining about me. Suddenly, Toka also shouted that she wanted to have a baby too. To this, I sighed helplessly and rubbed my forehead. Toka, don't listen to Origami's nonsense. Do you even know what having a baby means? Just as Toka was puzzled, the rabbit puppet Yashinan suddenly made a shocking statement. Ha ha ha. Toka, so-called baby making is when a man and a woman get in and then they have a baby. Understand? Listening to Yashinan's passionate description, the girls present all blushed furiously, so shy they could drip water. After all, they were all inexperienced girls. Put. You perverted rogue rabbit. Don't instill any strange knowledge into Toka. I glared fiercely at Yashinan. And Yoshino also quickly covered Yashinan's mouth, her face also turning a shade of crimson. After calming down, I summoned the Suniaster. With a dazzling flash of starlight, Origami's parents were resurrected in the real world. Done. Origami, go home and see. There might be a surprise. Hearing this, Origami instantly reacted. She was so excited she rushed home without even saying goodbye. Watching the hastily departing Origami, I also smiled gratifiedly. Hey Kyoya, what is that thing in your hand? It looks so high class. Nia Hanju's eyes sparkled with curiosity, staring intently at the Suniaster in my hand. Seeing this, I raised an eyebrow, then retracted the Suniaster. What are you trying to do? Don't even think about getting any ideas about my Sunniaster. What? That was the Sunniaster from No Game No Life just now? As an otaku girl, Nia Hanju had watched No Game No Life on the phone. She had even drawn it into a manga and published it. She never expected to see the real thing today. Beside her, even Rain and Kotori, who knew this anime, felt a sense of unreality. They felt that everything before their eyes wasn't real. Chapter 197, The Art of Capturing Hearts. With that, I smiled and explained. Now that Origami's inner demons have been dispelled, I doubt she'll be targeting spirits with the same hostility. So, everyone needs to get along with Origami. Woo, okay, I'll listen to Kyoya. Toka replied, a bit reluctantly, but she still nodded. I patted her head, satisfied. Good girl, Toka. I'll treat you to a grand dinner tonight as a reward. Toka, enjoying the affection, hugged me in response. TCH. I see you, you hentai with a one-track mind. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You're clearly just after Origami. Suddenly, an ill-timed voice interjected. Following the sound, Kotori glared at me with utter disdain, as if looking at garbage. Hearing Kotori's complaint, the other girls' gazes towards me grew increasingly strange. I did have a track record, after all. From our very first meeting, he was spouting nonsense about being taken with the spirit girls and wanting to give them a home. And coincidentally, Origami did indeed become a spirit in the future. So, he really was planning to make a move on her. Kotori-chan, don't talk nonsense. I'll sue you for slander. What I did was an act of salvation. I retorted, still feigning virtue despite the numerous strange looks I was receiving. After hearing me, Toka, Shirori, Nia, and the other girls were silent for a long time, finally saying in unison, as expected of you. With that, they shot me a look that screamed, Kyoya, you're really pushing it. I replied with dissatisfaction. What's that supposed to mean? I'm a faithful good man. The girls, however, showed expressions that clearly said, go on, keep talking. We're listening to your excuses. But, why did Kotori hide the fact that she's a spirit? Suddenly remembering something, Toka turned her head and looked at Kotori, puzzled. Hearing this, Kotori's expression froze. Unsure how to explain, she could only offer an awkward, sheepish grin. Well, perhaps Kotori-chan has her reasons. Let's not delve too deep, I finally interjected, saving her. However, the next second, I feigned an indignant expression and complained. It's all Mio Takamiya's fault. For her dead lover, she caused so many tragedies. She's done nothing but bad things. And, doesn't she know that while Yuri is infinitely good, it's a shame you can't have children? Shirori, Rain, what do you think? I tossed the question to them without warning, a mischievous glint in my eyes. You're asking me? For a moment, Shirori didn't react, unsure why she was being asked. After a moment of silence, she finally spoke. It is a bit much. After all, she disregarded others' feelings and brought such great disaster to innocent people. Rain Morrisame, Mio Takamiya. What else could Rain say to this? She could only silently agree. Afterward, to welcome Yoshino and Yashinon, everyone celebrated heartily. The next day, I stretched comfortably, sighing with emotion. Today is another day of helping a fallen girl. Perhaps because I had woken up early today, Toka and the other girls weren't up yet. After some thought, I walked into the kitchen. A dozen minutes later, Toka, following the aroma, floated out of her room and into the kitchen. When she noticed that the person wearing the apron today was me, her expression showed a slight surprise. Kyoya, are you making breakfast today? I didn't expect you to be up early. Hearing this, I cleared my throat and said seriously. What's that supposed to mean? Are you implying I usually like to sleep in? Not understanding the meaning behind my words, Toka touched her lips with a finger, looking endearingly clueless. Kyoya always oversleeps and then gets forcefully woken up by Kotori. Seeing this gluttonous princess show me no face, I directly took a pink rice dumpling and fed it into her mouth. Let's see if I can shut your mouth with food. However, watching Toka eat the rice dumpling, then lick the syrup trickling from her lips, made my heart itch unbearably. Then I picked up a small bowl of pink rice dumplings and said, "Toka, I want to eat rice dumplings too." "Then eat." As the girls got up one after another, seeing me preparing breakfast, their expressions were somewhat surprised. Kotori, in particular, looked as if she had seen a ghost. Has the sun risen from the west? The big lazy bug got up early today and even made breakfast? Hearing this, I shot her an eye roll. I'm a magnanimous person, I won't stoop to a lowly's level. Mia picked up a bowl of rice dumplings and tried one, her eyes lighting up. Yo, this is quite delicious. Not bad skills, Kyoya. And don't praise me, I'm just a dabbler in cooking. I had originally wanted to be low-key, but my strength didn't allow it. Since mastering 1,000 arts, learning anything was a breeze for me. Thus, I was able to develop good cooking skills. What's that saying? To capture a woman's heart, you must first capture her stomach. TCH. I give you an inch and you take a mile. Kotori also picked up a bowl of rice dumplings and took a bite. Instantly conquered by the deliciousness, she still retorted with a sharp tongue. Kotori-chan, just you wait. When you turn 16, see how I discipline you. Hearing Kotori's complaint, I directly shot back a threat. Pa! You pervert, lecher, rogue, lolicon. Hearing my threat, Kotori's face turned beet red as she shouted. She even clamored about calling the police and having me thrown in jail. Subsequently, everyone ate breakfast amidst laughter and went to school together. Chapter 198, Origami's Peculiar Way of Showing Gratitude, Niku Azeoi. In Class 2 to 4 of Raisin High School, the moment I walked into the classroom, before I could even sit down, Origami Tabichi grabbed me and pulled me out of the room. I assumed she wanted to thank me for resurrecting her parents, so I didn't think much of it and just followed her. However, after she pulled me out of the classroom, I noticed that the destination was different from our usual meeting spot on the school roof. Seeing that I was about to be let out of the school by Origami, still unsure of the situation, I couldn't help but ask curiously, "Origami? Where exactly are you taking me?" Hearing my words, Origami finally stopped. She turned around, her eyes shining with excitement and anticipation as she looked at me. Without another word, she pulled a paper bag from under her skirt. You heard that right, from under her skirt. At this moment, I truly began to suspect that her skirt contained a pocket dimension. How could she pull out anything from under there? From the AST's CR unit weapons in the past to this paper bag now. Seriously, this was even more ridiculous than me. Kyoya, thank you so much for resurrecting my parents. Origami bowed deeply to me, expressing her gratitude sincerely. Hearing this, I quickly waved my hands and said with some confusion, it's really no big deal. And congratulations on being able to move on. But, you didn't have to leave the school just to thank me. As soon as my words fell, Origami took out some documents from the paper bag and said softly, I saw on TV that to express gratitude, girls usually offer themselves in marriage. So, let's go get our marriage certificate. See, I've already prepared all the necessary materials for the marriage registration. Saying this, she couldn't help but blush, subconsciously hugging my arm with a blissful expression. Hearing her answer, my face twitched uncontrollably. At this moment, I really wanted to know where she had seen this bizarre trope. However, I knew deep down that Origami wasn't joking, because her tone was very serious. Still, I felt a little unsettled. Origami, don't be impulsive. Even though you're 16 now, your body isn't fully developed yet. Actually, I'm already 18. My parents registered my age 2 years younger. Or, do you prefer girls with bigger chests? Hearing her serious, nonsensical reply, I was utterly speechless. Sometimes, I really couldn't understand why her mind was filled with those bizarre ideas. Although I did like Origami very much, and her personality and talent were indeed very suitable for a wife. But, if I really got married to her now, the other girls at home would definitely explode. Given that I couldn't bear to hurt the girl before me, I tried to persuade her in the gentlest way possible. Origami, let's not think about those things right now. We can talk about getting married later, okay? Hearing my words, Origami fell silent. After a long moment of silence, Origami finally voiced a question. I want to ask you something. Saying this, Origami looked up, her blue eyes meeting mine. Do you really like me? Hearing this question, I hugged Origami tightly, a slight smile on my lips. Of course. I like Origami very much. I've even fantasized about Origami becoming my wife. If you don't believe me, As I spoke, Origami placed a finger on my lips, stopping me from continuing. No. I've always believed you. Thank you. Afterward, I didn't say anything more, just gently stroked the hair of Origami in my embrace. After the two of us had a tender moment, Origami finally returned to the classroom with me. Not long after, returning to my seat, I noticed the unhappy expression that Toka was practically wearing on her face. After thinking about it, there were only two things that could make the gluttonous Toka upset and unhappy. One was that the Kanako bread was sold out, the other was because of me. Thinking back to what had just happened, the corners of my mouth lifted. I was almost certain she was jealous. Thinking of this, I deliberately pretended to sniff something and said, Toka, do you smell something sour? The inherently pure Toka, hearing my words, actually sniffed the air. Of course, she didn't smell anything. However, soon after, when she saw me looking at her with a mischievous grin, she instantly understood. Toka pouted, a flush of shame and anger on her face, her eyes darting around. I'm not jealous. With that tsundere expression, this silly Toka still said she wasn't jealous. I decided to tease her some more. I grinned mischievously and said perfunctorily, all right, Toka isn't jealous. Seeing me continue to tease her, Toka, enraged, directly pounced like a fierce tiger. Fortunately, after some guidance from me and a promise to take her to buy Kanako bread after school, this gluttonous princess finally revealed a happy smile. High school classes were as boring as ever. I took out my phone and connected to this world's network. After some thought, I gave up on binge-watching shows and reading novels, instead deciding to see if there was anything interesting happening in this world. However, after scrolling for a long time, I didn't see a single piece of interesting news. Bored out of my mind, I decided to just continue playing ranked games. Just then, my previously half-closed eyes suddenly flashed with a sharp glint. My gaze had fallen on a previous news article. More accurately, it was a name in the news that greatly interested me. Looks like it's time for me to rescue a fallen maiden again. Saying this, I hacked into this world's network and started to operate. Simultaneously, in a luxurious mansion, Miku Azeoi sat on a sofa, elegantly sipping her tea. Then, when she opened her phone, several news headlines on the trending list undoubtedly caught her attention. Shocking. The incident involving the popular idol Tsukino Yuramachi from 2 years ago actually has a hidden story. Shocking. A man in Tengu City, seeking thrills, actually fucked a hornet's nest to death. Is this a distortion of human nature, or a moral decay? Shocking. Investigation reveals that the man who fucked a hornet's nest to death was the very television producer who started the rumors about Tsukino Yuramachi. Crack. The girl's purple-silver eyes widened. She placed a jade-like hand to her mouth, not even noticing the teacup in her hand shattering. Miku Azeoi stared intently at the top few news headlines on her phone's trending list, unable to believe her eyes. Then, with trembling fingers, she tapped on one of the trending news articles. Miku Azeoi's gaze was fixed on the surveillance video. Although it was somewhat blurry, she still recognized the man in the video at a glance. It's him. It's definitely him. He's the television producer from 2 years ago, the one who tried to force himself on me. Chapter 199, The Man Who Saved Billions of Fallen Girls. After snapping back to reality, Miku Azeoi quickly clicked on the first trending topic. In the news, it was recounted how someone, under Yuramachi Tsukino's account, had detailed the suspicious points of the incident 2 years ago, and had even uploaded ample evidence. At this moment, Miku Azaoi's heart pounded, her breathing becoming heavy. Because this was a painful past she was never willing to recall. After hesitating for a long time, she clicked on her old account, logging into the account that had brought her pain and despair 2 years ago. The account name was Yomachi Tsukino. Just as the news said, under Yomachi Tsukino's comments, there was indeed a long message. The commenter's account name was, "The Man Who Saved Billions of Fallen Girls." Click. Her entire being instantly petrified. Miku Azaoi was utterly bewildered. Who was this guy? Clicking on the profile, she found a personal signature. "I'm not a playboy." My heart just shattered into many pieces, and each piece fell in love with a different person. Miku Azaoi's mouth twitched, silently cursing him for being a scumbag. Taking a deep breath, she continued to check other messages and found that this person had also sent her a private message. The general content was praising her beautiful voice and wanting to collaborate with her on a song. Miku Azaoi pondered for a moment, then replied. Why? Why collaborate with a singer like me who has been tarnished and whose reputation has plummeted? On the other side, just as I was about to lie down and sleep, seeing the message on my phone, I immediately replied. Hearing the reply notification sound, Miku Azaoi opened her phone and looked at the new message she had received. Because of your voice. It brings a sense of hope and beauty. After reading it, Miku Azaoi's tender heart felt a strange palpitation. This was the first person in 2 years who was willing to believe her and clear her name. And he was a complete stranger to her. Suppressing the emotion in her heart, she replied again. Can I ask you a question? Between my voice and the contemporary female idol Miku Azaoi's, whose do you think sounds better? Damn. This is a completely trick question. Yomachi Tsukino and Miku Azaoi are both you. You think I don't know? Still trying to fool me. However, at this moment, I just wanted to complain, shit. Because this looked like an unsolvable problem. Following the principle of better you than me. I replied, Miku Azaoi? Nothing special. How is she qualified to be compared with you? Simultaneously, Miku Azaoi, on the other side of the phone, looked at the message she received. The next moment, her eyelids twitched violently, her forehead covered in dark lines. Her beautiful eyes blazed with anger, filled with killing intent. However, she also felt a strong curiosity towards him, so she replied again. What would you do if you met Miku Azaoi in the future? To this, I raised an eyebrow, then replied, TCH that Miku Azaoi, if she ever comes to Tengdu City, she'd better not let me catch her, otherwise, things won't end well for her. Miku Azaoi, looking at my reply, gritted her teeth in anger, secretly vowing to find him. So, she replied, alright. In that case, I agree to cooperate with you. I'm in Tengdu City right now. Let's meet sometime. No problem. I replied, simultaneously sending over 2 songs, Tears Confession and Gurenj. After receiving the 2 songs from him, Miku Azaoi immediately opened them and listened. The next moment, she couldn't help but start humming along with the melody. She also found that these 2 songs completely outclassed all other songs on the market. Almost every song could evoke the deepest emotions within her. At this moment, Miku Azaoi showed an increasingly strong interest in this scumbag. What kind of genius could he be to create those outstanding songs? However, after thinking it over, she still felt she should be a bit more reserved. She picked up her phone and replied thus. Sending them to me just like that? Aren't you afraid? I'll take your songs and refuse you. I believe in you. You wouldn't do such a thing. Damn it. This guy. Knowing he was likely a scumbag, a hint of emotion still flashed in Miku Azaoi's beautiful eyes. No one had ever trusted her so much before. The sudden slanderous scandal had caused Miku's reputation to plummet. If he had been there back then, when she was at her most desperate and wanted to end her life, she probably wouldn't have become a spirit. No, I'm even better now. My voice is even more beautiful. As soon as school let out, Toka dragged me to buy Kanako bread. Kyoya, hurry up and buy Kanako bread. or it'll be sold out again. Helpless, after a simple farewell to Shirori and Origami, I went to the bakery with Toka. Arriving at the bakery, I directly instructed, "Sir, pack up all your remaining Kanako bread. I'll take it all." "Ha? Young man. It's you again. Did I hear that right? You want to pack up all the Kanako bread?" The owner turned his head and saw it was me and Toka again, a hint of surprise mixed with familiarity. After all, for many days now, this man and woman would occasionally buy a large amount of Kanako bread. He had even managed to buy a car and a house thanks to them. He just hadn't expected that today would be even more brutal. Directly buying out the entire stock. You didn't hear wrong. I want all the Kanako bread in your shop. Please pack it up for me. Seeing the owner standing there stunned, I had to remind him again. Hearing this, the owner didn't say much more and quickly packed up all the bread. To accommodate them, the owner even thoughtfully asked if they needed him to load it into a car and deliver it for them. However, I directly refused this offer. With a single wave of my hand, I stored it all in my system space. This scene left the owner completely dumbfounded. Chapter 200, Origami's Divine Move, the Panty Collecting Fetish. Halfway home, I paused, glanced at a certain spot, and then said to Toka, "Toka, I need to take care of some private matters. Can you go home first?" Although curious, Toka still nodded, happily eating her Kanako bread as she went home. Immediately, I transformed into a streak of white light and disappeared. When I reappeared, it was behind a clump of grass far away. I spoke. "Origami, what are you doing?" Origami Tabichi's body stiffened. She then put down the binoculars in her hand and replied with an unchanged expression. "I'm admiring the moon." I looked up at the sun, which had not yet set, feeling utterly speechless. "Origami, I'm not blind or deaf. Do you think I'd believe that?" Origami didn't answer, just slowly took my hand and pulled me towards a restaurant. To this, I didn't refuse. Entering the restaurant, the first thing I saw was white decorations, from the chandeliers to the tables and chairs. Even the tableware was pure white, and each table could only accommodate 2 people. Origami found a spot near the window and sat down close to me. After the food was served, I also began to feast heartily. It wasn't that I was particularly hungry, but ever since I started living at Kotori's house, every meal at home was cooked by Shirori and me. Occasionally, I also wanted to relax a bit. Origami, on the other hand, ate gracefully. Soon, the 2 of them finished their meal. Just as I was about to pay the bill, the waitress looked at the 2 of them and smiled. "Sir, this is a couple's restaurant. Couples get a 30% discount. May I ask if you 2 are a couple?" Before I could speak, Origami answered first. "Yes, we are a couple." Hearing this, the waitress said again, "In that case, please prove you are a couple in some way." Just as I was stunned, Origami directly lunged at me. Immediately, I felt a warm, moist sensation. The next moment, when I reacted, I wrapped my arms tightly around Origami and launched a fierce counterattack. The girl has already shown her intentions. How could I remain indifferent? I'm not a eunuch, after all. Watching the 2 of them kissing passionately, the waitress beside them blushed furiously. Ultimately, if it hadn't been for the waitress's reminder, Origami and I could have kissed until the end of time. After I paid the bill, I naturally walked Origami home. After seeing Origami home, out of curiosity, I asked with some confusion. Origami, aren't your parents home?" My parents don't actually live with me. They live in their old house." Origami hugged me and explained with a light smile. "I see. Since you're home now, I'll be leaving." Saying this, I prepared to leave. However, Origami held my hand tightly and, under my puzzled gaze, said, "Wait a minute. I have a gift for you." Saying this, she stuffed a balled-up item into my hand. I was bewildered. Why does this warm feeling seem so familiar? I opened my hands and saw it was a blue and white striped underwear, still warm. Even I, a seasoned veteran, couldn't help but blush. I quickly clenched it in my hand and said hurriedly, "Origami, why? Why did you give me this again? Also, when did you take it off? How did I not notice?" To this, Origami said with a blank expression, "Kyoya, don't you like it? But you seemed to like it a lot last time. Could it be Kyoya likes me to take them off in front of you?" As if discovering some blind spot, Origami looked at me thoughtfully. Hearing Origami's words, my eyelids twitched violently. Origami's train of thought is truly unique and impossible to guard against. Origami, from now on, don't just randomly take off your panties. Aren't you afraid of being exposed? After taking a deep breath, I looked at Origami and reminded her seriously. "Kyoya, are you jealous?" "I understand. From now on, I'll wear an extra pair, or give them to you after I've worn them." Origami nodded in understanding. At the same time, she was also very happy about my jealousy. Looking at Origami, who understood but didn't quite understand my meaning, I was also frustrated. At this rate, I'm probably going to embark on a path of no return, collecting panties. Sigh, a pervert is a pervert. After all, life isn't just about poetry in distant places, there has to be some perversion too. Life is like being raped. If you can't resist, you might as well enjoy it. Besides, what's wrong with being a little perverted? At least it can add some fun to life. After the two of us had a tender moment, I said goodbye and went home. In the evening, seeing me finally return from outside, the already starving Nia Hanju, Toka, Yoshino, and the other girls all greeted me at the first opportunity. "Kyoya, I'm starving. Hurry up and cook." Nia was already chugging a can of beer. Yeah. "Kyoya, why did you come back so late?" "I'm hungry. I want to eat." Toka, as a glutton, also urged him. "Where did you run off to? Are you trying to starve us to death?" Kotori also crossed her slender legs, her face filled with dissatisfaction. Big brother. Yoshino is also. Even the usually timid Yoshino also raised her small hand. Rain Morrisame, meanwhile, was frantically adding sugar to her cup, looking completely exhausted. To this, I was very puzzled. "Isn't Shirori still here?" Hearing this, Shirori also blushed slightly and explained shyly. "About that, everyone seems to be used to Kyoya's cooking, so..." Hearing Shiori's words, I was slightly speechless. I thought with Shirori here, I could relax a bit in the future. Unexpectedly, these girls have all become picky eaters. They won't eat unless I cook. Helpless, I immediately walked into the kitchen and got busy. That wraps up this part of What If sign-in system in high school DxD. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.